Trucker here. I think the best creepy thing that ever happened to me was I was heading from Tucson, Arizona up to Salt Lake City, Utah. Well, this was a few years ago and the main highway had been taken out in a flash flood. It was under construction, so I had to take a weird detour through the mountains in lower Utah. It was getting late and I was getting tired, so I pulled off onto the shoulder and went to sleep in my bunk. Now, this was in the middle of nowhere. Closest town was like 40 miles away, so it's completely pitch black outside once I turn the lights off. Anyway, around 4 a.m. I wake up because I'm hearing something messing with my truck. Like playing with the air and power cables between my cab and the trailer, which is literally 6 inches from where my head is at, but on the outside of the cab. Then I feel something climb onto the landing that's on the back of my truck, and it shakes my whole truck, so I'm guessing something around 200 to 300 pounds was climbing around back there. I'm thinking like a mountain lion or a bear. At this point, I'm wide the fuck awake, and I want to get this thing away from me, so I slam my hand into the cab wall trying to scare whatever is out there. Slam. Hard enough to really make it loud. I then hear someone, a male, scream bloody murder, and I hear them fall off the back of my truck. I then hear about 15 other people all around my truck yelling. I climb up front, turn on my lights, and illuminate a squad of army reserves doing their midnight rock march and capture drills. Turns out, these guys were supposed to go and find an abandoned truck and secure it for their midnight drills. That truck was 3 miles down the road. They were not expecting me to be sleeping there, and thought I was part of the drill. I'm ex-military, so after explaining I was not part of their test, and legit, was just there out of coincidence, we laughed it off. They had a radio to their CO and tell him I was there and not have the other squads bother me. I've seen some rather screwed up stuff over the years, from bad wrecks, drug addicts, panhandlers, and more. There used to be a small rest area in North Dakota on US 52 at the intersection of ND 30 near Scariest. I came out of the building after using the facilities and got ready to leave. As I was starting to pull out, a guy opened his car door. The angle was just right to see that he was buck naked. Then he gets out of his car and starts walking around his car. I'm not sure if he was a druggie or just thought, this is a good way to pick up a truck driver I've never met before. I just drove away and didn't look back. Maybe that isn't creepy in the usual sense, but I thought it was. One story that was creepy to me, that I was driving across Kansas on I-70 headed west. There's a pretty long stretch out there that's just a couple of little towns and not much else. As the night wore on, I realized I had been passed several times by this beat up old motorhome. Several people sat with their noses almost pressed to the window, watching me with creepy interest as they passed, every time. And I never noticed where I repassed them. A couple of times I swear they passed me twice where there was no rest areas or exits to pull off at. I would have seen them stop somewhere, but yet, here they were passing me again. They all looked like some variant of Charles Manson and some other freaky type. Had me pretty uptight by the time I got to the TA truck stop in Lemon and stopped for the night. And almost every driver I know has seen stuff late at night that just can't be explained. Maybe it's fatigue or maybe not. But I've seen very large man-like shadows cross the road way too fast for their size several times. I ain't saying it's Bigfoot. Never got a clear view. Was always out at the end of headlights where I couldn't be entirely sure I even seen anything. But it sure looked like a large something crossing the whole road in just a couple of steps. Really weird. As a crew guy off an off-road racing team in Baja California, Mexico, I got to test drive some rigs and trucks, so technically a truck driver. We were driving down south along the Sea of Cortez with a buddy at night at this 4-hour dirt road to Gonzaga, which is pretty much in the middle of fucking nowhere in the desert. And we see the lights of a car behind coming down fast and now effectively tailing us, and the bastard had bar mount headlights on top, or what it seemed like it, which are super bright. As normal as that local and gringos get wasted in the nearest spring breaker town, then go down this road super fast to test their rig since there's no police there. So I tried waving him off to get this guy to keep them lights low since he's blinding us, but he isn't slowing down a bit nor turning down his roof lights. And it was a dangerous super dark road. Finally, near a curve near the shore, I found a spot to bail off the road without crashing, and we see lights passing by us super fast and going straight to the curve, and we were like, yep, that's it, it's going to crash down by the sea. But the lights don't fall and keep going straight into the beach and the sea, and then pitched up abruptly to the night sky and disappeared. We didn't say a word for a minute or so, and then my buddy goes, "Did you see it?" And I say, "The fucking flying truck?" Didn't talk about it anymore, as simply it didn't make sense to talk about it or with anyone else when we arrived. I used to deliver hotshot freight across the Great Plains / Minnesota area. One night around 2 a.m. I was hauling across North Dakota trying to reach Montana by morning. I was delivering a particularly valuable tractor part that a farm desperately needed for the following day. I may have noticed some highway hypnosis sneaking up on me, but it really didn't bother me since I'd been through it 100 times before. Anyone who has driven across North Dakota knows that it is incredibly flat, like really flat. It also tends to be very straight and long roads. It's somewhat easy to see things on the road that are far away, even at night. I noticed something long on the road, spanning my entire lane, approximately half a mile in front of me. I slowed down a little and prepared to move in the opposite lane, thinking it was some retread of a blown tire. As I got closer, I noticed it was two people laying head to toe across the entire lane. I swerved into the other lane, successfully avoiding them, and came to an almost complete stop, but they didn't move, not an inch. I was just about to back up and check on them when I remembered a story that an old graybeard colleague of mine told me. He told me that in certain remote areas, people will lie down in the middle of the road and wait for a car or truck to stop and see what's going on. At that point, the road layers, along with whoever else is hiding in the nearby bushes, will beat the shit out of the driver and steal his vehicle, leaving him in the middle of nowhere. I decided not to back up, and when the two people on the road saw me put my truck back in gear and drive away, they both got up and walked towards the shoulder. I called the police and explained what happened, but we were so far away from civilization I doubt anything came of it. Thanks to that old graybeard, I got to keep my truck, my job, and my teeth. My father's told me this story maybe like 1,000 times. My family, as well as a couple of uncles and my oldest cousin, went on a trip from Mexico City to Acapulco when I was barely a year old. Back home in the middle of the night, the car broke down, and a police car quickly came to our help. There were 3 policemen in the car, and the chief offered to take my dad to the nearest gas station where you could find a mechanic, and told the other 2 officers to stay with our car. My dad says they seem absolutely not pleased with the order, until the chief told me, "Don't worry, there's a woman and 2 children," and that seemed to calm the 2 officers. Driving to the gas station on the police car, my dad asked the chief what was that all about, and the chief told him that there had been many accidents in that part of the road. That's why they were able to find our car so quickly. All of the accidents involved young men traveling without female or child company. Those who had survived said that they crashed because they could see a very beautiful woman next to the road. But once they came close to her, she turned out to be just a rotting corpse staring at them. And they crashed because they were just paralyzed by fear.
Hey yo, mention our name, it shines like a gold chain. KL kamikaze legacies in this rap game for sure. Playing bombs in your local record stores with Vietnam and poppers. Niggas can't stop us, revoke the version. Niggas need rehearsing. Front on this clip, nigga, you'll be a missing person. To my niggas in the hood, this is how it's going down. Got shorties from out of town that love to hear the sound. KL, easy to smell with a deep definition. Flooding competition, every line is a different mission.